Good morning, good night, good afternoon, whatever part of the world you're on today. This episode of As the Tarot Turns is brought to you on purpose with purpose. I am your host, Nacho Mama. Some people call me Crystal, some people call me Criddle, like Riddle with a C. Either way, Nacho Mama is a personality, not a person. Today we're going to be reading for the collective of Aquarius, the Aquarius collective. And our question today is, what is my biggest obstacle for Aquarius? I've noticed that I've done a lot of general readings, like whatever spirit wants us to know throughout each zodiac sign. So I figured I would start asking specific questions. And today's specific question is, what is my biggest obstacle? So what is the biggest obstacle for Aquarius? Please remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that little bell. Most importantly, drop down and say hello. Hello. Howdy. Sup, y'all? Aquarius. Universe, source, spirit, please use me as a conduit to express the best message for Aquarius's personal growth today and what their biggest obstacle is. Aquarius, what is your biggest obstacle? Please and thank you. So motivate. Amen. Aquarius. Lunacy, huh? The moon made you do it. So, like making stories up in your mind and believing them to be true. Assumptions, making assumptions, being in the dark, not understanding. A lot of times we make assumptions, we create these stories in our minds, and then we believe them to be true. And it feels like there's some remorse about it. And we have destruction. So whatever sort of story you made up in your mind about a situation, a person, a place, a thing, has kept you up at night, you know, in some sort of like regret, some sort of remorse. Like, you're like, why did I do that? Why did I feel that way? Why did I think that way? How do I, how do I fix it? But I believe it was the assumption, making assumptions, assuming always means us out of you and me, right? So there was some sort of story that was, assumed to be true, and like we projected that truth out onto everyone involved, right? And when you find out that that's not the way it was, or you find out that that's not the truth, then you feel remorse, you feel like that you destroyed a good thing, by making assumptions, by assuming things. But it was all part of a spiritual journey, because we have the Hierophant here. Maybe you're having a problem trying to figure out the spiritual journey behind whatever this lunacy was, whatever this projection was, whatever this story was that was made up in your mind about a person, place, or a situation. Like you feel bad about whatever it was that you thought about them, because it wasn't necessarily the truth. I mean, it might have been the truth for you in that moment, but it wasn't the truth. Like, assumptions are hard. They're hard to not become true in our mind. When we have assumed something and we believe that to be the truth, then that becomes our truth, Even if it's not the truth. Feel like it was you feel like it was very wasteful, a waste of energy. But at the end here, there's still the spiritual path. So I mean, this all happened for a reason. I mean, but everything happens for a reason, one way or another. It's either all completely a coincidence, or it's all absolutely in divine order. And I have too many receipts for it to not be all in divine order. I don't know about y'all, but I think you're struggling to find the spiritual meaning behind it, But I feel like you made some sort of some sort of judgment in your mind and just went with that as the truth, and you feel some sort of remorse, you know, that you feel like that it's your fault, or that, you know, that you could have done something differently, or a little bit differently. With the destruction card here, it's like, it's almost like a self-sabotage, you know, like, oh, why did I do that to myself? You know, why did I do that to this person? Why did I do that to myself? You know, but the only mistakes we make in life are the ones we don't learn from. If we honestly didn't know that that's what we were doing, then it's not really a mistake. It's called a mistake for a reason. Mistake is a mistake. If you honestly don't know that what you're doing is wrong, or you honestly don't know that, you know, that whatever assumptions you've made were wrong, you know, and you believe them to be truth, then it's not a mistake, it's a mistake. You know, once you are aware, then you have responsibility and accountability towards making the right decisions. But anything that you did in the past that you genuinely did not know was wrong is not a mistake. There's no such thing as mistakes. There's only mistakes. We have generosity. And frustration. So I feel like you've given a lot of yourself here with wasteful and dull generosity and frustration. It's like everything that you have tried to pour your cup into, you felt like it was a waste of your time, or maybe you felt this situation was a waste of time. You know, that there's no point in it. There's no point in trying to do anything about it. There's no point in any of it. You know, it's like this, just a waste of time feeling. It's got you all up in your mind about it. But every lesson ultimately equals a blessing in the end. Yeah, an ascension. You will find your reasons behind why this happened, but it might take a while. You know, you might figure it out in your dreams. You might just have like a Ace of Swords aha moment, you know. But no matter what, there's no such thing as a mistake. Like, if you genuinely didn't know what was going on, or what you were doing, or what they were doing, you know, and you made some sort of assumptions and turned that into your truth, you can't really go back from it, but you can't dwell in it either. You know, you can acknowledge it and be like, oh, okay, I see what I did. I see how it happened. I see, you know, what my part of this was, what their part of this was, how this happened, you know, and then you become aware. And then after you're aware of it, then you take accountability for the actions you take after that. You know, then you'll learn not to make assumptions. You know, you'll learn to figure out the facts before you act, type of deal, you know? But a lot of times we make assumptions without even knowing them. I don't know how many stories I've had in my mind that I've just expressed as the truth, even though it wasn't the truth, it was my truth, you know? I didn't know that it wasn't any less true for anyone else, you know, and none of us really do. It doesn't necessarily make it the truth. And I think this was part of a spiritual lesson here on making assumptions, on projecting our truths out into the world. You know? Yeah, pride. To rise above the pride, you know? Like, pride is like always being right, refusing to admit when you're wrong, to, you know, nothing's ever my fault, you know? I think there was definitely some pride involved here in whatever this assumption was, you know, and it takes a lot of strength to be accountable for our mistakes, for sure. But that's how great leaders teach other people, is by being accountable for their own mistakes as well, by showing the people that they are only people. And I think you've been working really diligently about raising your vibration, about being accountable, about holding others accountable, not just holding others accountable, but holding yourself accountable, you know, and taking the responsibility of the awareness that you have. Once you have the awareness, it is no longer, you know, a mistake, then it's an actual decision. You know, when you are aware of what your decisions are, or what sort of words, it's hard to articulate right now what I'm trying to say here. I wish I could just reach through the phone and transfer a vibration, you know, without having to use any words. You know, you could just feel everything that needs to be said all within like a simple touch or something. But as humans, we only have words. So, and words are funny little creatures. But I think your awareness, like this, has definitely grown your awareness. But I think your obstacle is assumption, is making assumptions and then turning them into the truth. You know, with the lunacy card being the very first card out, that's a lot about assumptions and about living in your own world, you know? And we have hedonistic, which is pleasure seeking, doing things that are purely out of pleasure, you know, without any remorse or any thought of action. So be careful of the pleasure seeking, of however that resonates for you. You know, don't do things simply because, you know, in the whim of the moment, that's what, you know, ooh, I want to go do this. That sounds sexy, or she sounds sexy, or he sounds sexy, you know. It's a very kind of lustful energy and pleasure seeking. So we have lunacy and hedonistic, which is pleasure seeking. So your biggest obstacles are creating stories in your mind and believing them to be true, and only focusing on like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You know, it ain't no fun unless it's sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And it's crazy because we're always trying to live an extraordinary life. Like, everybody thinks that their ordinary life is boring until the very last minute, where they just wish they could get that one phone call, you know. They just wish they could find the mud on the floor, the one more time of the mud on the floor. You know, living an ordinary life is actually really extraordinary. Like, we've taken the extraordinary out of the ordinary, and we're always about seeking the more. The next big car, the next big house, the next big job, you know, not satisfied until, you know, I make it to this or this, you know. And I believe that ties in with the lunacy. That is some sort of assumption or story we've made up in our mind that the ordinary is not good enough. That there's no pleasure in the ordinary. And when it comes down to it, the ordinary is actually the most extraordinary parts of our lives. So make sure you take time to enjoy the extraordinary ordinary that goes around, because it's not going to be there forever. You know, the mud on the floor from your kid's footprints coming in. One of these days you're going to be like, man, I wish my kid would just come in here and make mud puddles on my floor. You know, the ordinary moments in lives are the ones that we look back on in complete joy and contentment. You know, not to be complacent, but we're always chasing after this next big thing, the next big this, you know, and then we don't take the time to stop and enjoy the extraordinary and the ordinary that we're living. You know, like, it's never good enough. So don't don't live in a world where nothing's good enough, where you're not good enough, where the ordinary is not extraordinary. Because then you'll miss out on all the blessings that are actually right there in front of you, like all the time, every single day, by constantly chasing something different, something new, something better. Let's see what we can get from the angels. Heart chakra. Love is the heart of the matter. Your heart is the center within your physical being, attuned most to love. It is safe for you to love and to be loved with an open heart as we stand by with perfect protection and guidance. And life purpose, right? Life purpose is life. The purpose of your life is to serve in a way that brings great joy to yourself and others. Don't worry about finding your purpose. Instead, focus upon serving your purpose, and then your purpose will serve you. I mean, you can do everything with purpose. You know, it's up to you what purpose is, what the purpose is, what your purpose is. I mean, I do these readings on purpose with purpose. I recovered on purpose with purpose. You know, I'm sober, I'm celibate, I'm single on purpose. All because I choose that to be on purpose with purpose. I have a purpose for it. I don't know how many times you can say purpose before it ends up sounding weird, but you can drink your water with purpose. You know, you can put purpose behind anything that you do every single day. You know, you don't have to constantly strive for this extraordinary, because the ordinary is just as extraordinary. All right, Aquarius, I love you guys. And until next time, I'm out. Nacho Mama out. Vroom, beep, beep.